Hi, welcome to Playground in the Clouds. I'm Yu. In our last video, we talked about how to build a Discord bot on App Engine. At some point, we mentioned that it's not the best practice to store the token in the code directly. So today we are going to talk about how to secure your Discord bot token using a service called Secret Manager. So let's get started. So as you can see here, this is the token I'm talking about. So this is effectively the password of your Discord bot. And imagine one day you want to publish your code on GitHub. Then anyone who have access to your code will be able to access this token. Obviously, we don't want this. So we want to store this token somewhere else, but our Python program can access. Some of you may say, can we store this token as an environment variable? Yeah, this is a quite common practice in personal projects to store your secrets as environment variables. But in App Engine, it's a little bit tricky because the way we can set environment variable is through the app.yaml. So it is the same app.yaml file we used last week to deploy the App Engine service. So as you can see here, if we put the token as an environment variable, effectively we will have to put the token as plain text in the app.yaml. Effectively, we are putting in our code again. So this is probably not the best way to do it either. And today I'm going to introduce a service also from Google Cloud called Secret Manager. And hopefully you will see it is actually very easy to use it. And it's also worth mentioning that this method can also be applied to storing other kinds of secrets. So not just the Discord bot token, you can use it for your database password. You can use it to store secrets to other services as well. So it's very useful. It's a very useful service. How do we get started? I think the best way is probably go to the Secret Manager service to take a look. The best way to get Secret Manager is actually just type in Secret Manager in the search bar at the top of your Google Cloud Platform console page. So, and then we choose a service called Secret Manager. Another way to find this is to use the left-hand side navigation menu, and it's in the security tab. So we can actually pin the security category, and the Secret Manager is one of the security services. And Secret Manager is very easy to use. As you see here, we just have one option, which is create a secret. So we click this button and create a secret. And we can name our secret as anything you want. Here we call it Discord bot token. So the value of secret, not surprisingly, it's our token. So because since last project, I already changed my Discord bot token. So I will have to go to the Discord developer portal. So and find the bot, and here we can copy this token again. So I'm just going to click copy. And when I come back to the Secret Manager page, I just paste this value in this box, and I can ignore everything else on this page for now, and just click create secret. So you can see it's a very straightforward process to store your token in Secret Manager. Once we store this token, we can notice that there is a path, and this is actually like the ID of this token, the ID of this secret. So the beginning of this path is projects, and then my project number and secrets and the name of the secret we just created. We will need to use this ID a little bit later. So now we already have our Discord bot token in Secret Manager. Now the next problem is that how can my Python Discord bot actually access this token? So I will do a little bit whiteboarding here. So last week we built the Discord bot in Python and it's running as a service in App Engine right now. And now we put a token in Secret Manager. But how does Secret Manager know who I am and whether I can access the token or not? So here we will need to introduce a concept that is called service account. So what is service account? Service account is effectively a non-human user. It's like when you use Google Cloud, you will have to create an account for yourself. And then when the service in your App Engine want to use Google Cloud, therefore access some of the other services in Google Cloud, we associate a service account to the App Engine service. Basically, your Python code will be running as if they are using this service account. So with this service account, we can give the service account permissions. So it will have permissions to do different things, and in our case, it will have permission to access the token in Secret Manager. Just make the box a little bit bigger so it looks better. So with the permissions and the service account, our Discord Python bot should be able to actually access the token. And one missing piece of the puzzle here is how do we actually programmatically access the token using Python? So as you probably have guessed, we need to use a SDK, and the SDK will be the Secret Manager Python SDK. So for those not familiar with the concept of SDK, SDK stands for Software Development Kit. So effectively, it's a collection of library, usually for a certain language, and to enable you to use certain services. And SDKs are normally provided by the service provider, in this case Google Cloud, but there are exceptions as well. And actually, we already come across the idea of SDK in our first video. So remember, when we built the Discord bot, we used a library called discord.py. So this discord.py library is effectively a SDK for Discord API. So we already come across this concept, and it's really just a library. So now we have two things to do. One is to give the service account, attach a service account to our App Engine, and then give permissions to our service account. And the second thing is we need to incorporate this Secret Manager Python SDK in our Python code and programmatically access the token. So we are going to actually look at the service account first. And here, luckily, when you create a service in Google Cloud, it actually automatically attach a service account. When you create a service in App Engine, it actually automatically attach a service account to the App Engine service, in this case our Discord bot. So we just need to give it permission to access the secrets we just created. So to do this, we go to the IM and admin collection, and in this category we find the service called IM. So this is another Google Cloud service, and IM stands for Identity and Access Management. Put it simply, it manages who can access what. So in this case, on this page we can see there is a service account already being created, and the name of the service account is App Engine Default Service Account. So this is exactly the service account we need. Now it already has the role called editor, and this role is actually quite wide, gives it a lot of permissions to do different things. We can probably narrow it down a little bit later, but for now we need to give it a specific role that enables this service account to access Secret Manager. So we click the edit button, and we choose to give this service account another role. So this is add to the existing role. And then in the select role, we click on here. The fastest way to find the exact role you need is you need to type the service name. So in this case, we type in Secret Manager. Here you can see there are a few roles you can choose from. And of course, here it requires a little bit experience and more understanding of Google Cloud to decide which is the best role for your purpose, and sometimes you need to create custom roles as well. But here, for the purpose of this demo, we are just going to use the existing role, and this role would be Secret Manager, Secret Accessor. What it means, basically, it means it enables the service that uses this service account to access secret. So it's quite self-explanatory. So we're going to add this role, and we save. So now this service account should be able to access the secret in the Secret Manager already. So this is one thing done. We already attached the service account, which is automatically managed by App Engine, and then we give the service account sufficient permissions to access the token in Secret Manager. But of course, because I'm doing this live, so I don't know what exactly needs to be done either. We may find we have missed something, but hopefully not. But even if we miss something, we can always go back to fix things. So this is one thing done. We are going to move to the next thing, which is incorporate the Secret Manager Python SDK in our Discord bot and programmatically access the token in Secret Manager. So the best place to go, because I have already used the Secret Manager before, so I know there is a library called, I think it's this one, called Google Cloud Secret Manager. So quite self-explanatory name again. So this is the library we need. This library, so in the quick start guide, it actually asks us to do a couple of things that we have already done. For example, enable the Secret Manager API. So by the way, if it's the first time you use Secret Manager service in your project, there will be a enable API button. You just need to press this button, and then in less than a minute you should be able to use Secret Manager. and we already set up authentication. Hopefully that is giving the permissions to our service account in order to access the secret manager. So personally, I found actually the example code in the product page of secret manager is easier to follow. So I'm going to find the secret manager quick start documentation. So this is the product page of secret manager, and there's a quick start tutorial, and we are on the Python tab. So this example code is where we can actually start from. By the way, we actually need to install the library as well before we can go into the code. So I'll just this library can be installed through pip. So I'll just copy this part. So I'm already in the virtual environment, so I can just use pip3 and install. And now it's already installed. So we can go back to the example code. We can copy we can copy line by line and decide which part of the code actually is useful for us. So I will just copy the first line to start with. So I will put it maybe just before we define the Discord client. So after we import the Discord library, so we import the secret manager SDK as well. And then the next two lines are defining the project ID and the secret ID. We copied here. So how to find my project ID? There are different ways, but one way is to go to your Google Cloud Platform console and click on the project name, and then you can see the ID on here on the right hand side. So we just put the project ID here, and the secret ID. I know if this is your first time using secret manager, this may be a little bit confusing, because on the secret manager page, it actually does not tell me which is the ID. So I will just copy the secret name for now. Replace. And then we go back to the example code again. So next line is we need to create a secret manager client. So this is very similar to the Discord client we created last time. So a client is effectively a non-human user that we will use as a proxy to access a service. So this client is for secret manager service specifically. But we have a little issue here, that because for the Discord client, we already call this client that we defined client. So here, if we want to, this secret manager client is a different one. So we'll probably want to give it a different name. So I will just call it secret manager _ client. So the issue is resolved. And from here, we actually cannot use much of the code in the example anymore, because what this example trying to do is to create a secret and store the secret store the token in the secret. Since we already created the secret and stored it from our secret manager console here, we don't need to do this in our Python code anymore. All we need to do is to somehow access this secret. So here we actually need to go to the documentation page, the reference of the Google Cloud Secret Manager SDK or the library now. So if we go to the client library documentation, and I know if you are fairly new to Python or to programming in general, you might find a little bit difficult to read a documentation or reference page like this. And don't worry about that, it's perfectly normal. And I think if you're watching this video, you are actually doing the right thing, because personally I found it's a very effective way to actually watch over someone's shoulder to see how another person finds the information they need. I think it's a very good way to learn how to read a reference web page like this. And don't worry about that if you find a little bit lost from time to time. If you watch this video, it will come within time. So we are at this library documentation page, the reference. On the left hand side of the navigation menu, there are references for version 1 API and the version 1 beta 1 API. For the purpose of this demo, we are just going to use the version 1 API. So we are looking at services for now. And there's only one service in the library, which is Secret Manager service. And here, the first class, it defined or it described in this reference is a Secret Manager service client. Does it look familiar to you? Yes, we just used this Secret Manager service client. Actually, we just called the constructor just now. So this is a class we are using. So a class comes with methods. So we probably want something like access the secret method to go with our client. So we can scroll down. And the first method we come across is called access secret version. Here, I can tell you with 80% certainty that this is the method we need. But why is access secret version instead of access secret? So here we actually need to go back to our whiteboard a little bit to explain the concept a little bit. So just now we put the token in Secret Manager, but the secrets in Secret Manager is managed as, well, not surprisingly, secrets. So they are the secret. So if you remember, we created a secret in here. So the resource in Secret Manager is called secret, but the token is actually not assigned directly to the secret resource. Instead, it is assigned to a specific version. So for example, here we have version 1, and the version 1 has this token, and the secret has version 1. So in the future, we may have version 2, version 3, and so on. But for now, our token is stored in version 1 of the secret. So those are the different levels of resources within Secret Manager. So in order to access this token, we actually need to access the secret version instead of just access the secret, because if we access the secret resource, it will probably tell us, I never tried before, but it will probably just tell us you have version 1, version 2, and version n. But if you access version 1 directly, we'll be able to get the value of the token, which is what we need. So I think this method is what we need, but when you come across a new library like this, it's quite normal that it takes some trials and errors to actually figure out exactly which method and how you can access certain things. So, but that's fine. We can just give it a go for now. So I'll copy this method. And what I want to do is because it's a method of the secret manager client, so I will just type in secret manager client and dot. Actually, because I installed this library, my IDE, which is VS Code, already give me a hint of all the methods and properties I can access. And very luckily, the first one, access secret version, is what I think I will need. And we need to probably pass some arguments to this method. For example, you need to tell your secret manager client which secret and which version you want to access. So therefore, although in VS Code it gives me some hint, but it's not the best way to read it. So I probably want to go back to the reference page. So it says it takes a few parameters, and some of them are probably optional, and some of them are mandatory. So here the first argument is request, and because I used this library before, so I can probably just fast forward a little bit. So if you keep reading on, there's a name argument as well, and it says the name argument corresponds to the name field in the argument in the request on the request instance. If request is provided, this should not be set. So basically what it says is you can either pass a request object or you pass the name. But for the simplicity, we will just pass the name as a string, and this is most straightforward. And the name of secret should be passed in this format. So projects, and I guess here could be a project ID, and the secrets, and probably will be the secret name or secret ID. And here we'll pass a version. For us, it's probably version 1, because you can see here this is version 1. So we'll just provide this name, and I will copy this format here. So we are already at this method, and in Python we can pass a named argument like this. So it will be name equals to, I'll use a string formatter. So in here I will put my project ID, so I just pass it as a variable, and here I'll put my secret ID, and here version, I'll just choose version 1, just simply keep it like this for now. So now we can already test whether our secret manager client can access the secret and the secret version. So I will just use the terminal to run our code. So we will just use the Python 3 command, and the name of our file is main.py. We'll probably have an error here, but we'll see how we can fix it. So the error here is Google Auth exceptions. So it's probably an exception to do with authentication or permissions. Could not automatically determine credentials. Please set Google application credentials and blah blah. So the reason we are receiving this error is that remember just now we said in order for our secret manager to know who we are, we need to give a service account to App Engine. And we have already done this. But now I'm running this test code locally on my computer. So actually the service secret manager does not know who I am, and whether I should have permission to access secret manager or not. So what I need to do is actually go back to the service account page and find the service account for App Engine. So this is App Engine default service account, and we click on the email of the service account, and we get to the service account details page. And now we can add a key to the service account. So this key is like the credential for this service account, and we are going to put this key locally, and so my local computer can assume this service account when it accesses a secret manager. Of course, if you come from a software engineering background and you have worked on large-scale applications, you probably know that this is not the best way. It's not the best way to use the same service account for your production workload and your local testing. But for the purpose of the demo and because it's a personal project, we can just do it as it is for now. So for the simplicity, we are going to use the same service account as our App Engine. And now my browser has already automatically downloaded this JSON file. What I usually do here is to create a folder in my project repository, in this case the Discord bot repository. So I'll call this folder just the credentials, and then I put the credential we just downloaded into this folder. And here we can take a look at what is inside this JSON file as well. So the most important thing in this JSON file is a private key. So if private key ID is the username of our service account, then private key will be the password of this service account. As we said before, a service account is effectively an account for a non-human user. So it's very important that to keep this credential file safe, as well as keep this private key safe. This private key is actually quite long. You can only see part of it. So now we have got our credential file. The next thing we need to do is actually set the Google default application credentials. So the way to do it is simply to set an environment variable. So I use export Google application credentials and equal to, and in VS Code I can just copy the full path of our credential file. So effectively we are passing the path to this credential file to this environment variable called Google application credentials. Now we can check if the environment variable has been set correctly by typing echo and Google application credentials, and see the value of this environment variable now is a path to this file. So this is correct. Now we can try to run the Python code again, and this time it should print out the name field in the response. Let's see. So as you can see here, it printed out the message, which is the name of the secret version we have here. But obviously this is not exactly what we're after. What we're after is the value in this secret version. So if you remember, just now we said another field in this response is payload, and in the payload we have data. So the data is actually secret data. So basically the value of our token. But one tiny issue here is that this data is returned in bytes. So it's not human readable. It's not exactly the token we put into secret manager. So we need to decode this data. Hopefully, if we go back to the quick start tutorial here, it already tells us to how to decode this data, so how to decode this payload data. So we can just simply copy these lines into our code. And we can remove this. This way it should decode the payload data in our response, and effectively the payload will be the plain text of our token. That's what we need. Now we save this file and run the Python code again. As you can see here, it prints out a plain text that we can read, and starts with ODA and ends with W. And if we want, we can go back to the Discord developer portal, and it's exactly the same token we have here. So this is how we get the token bank programmatically in our Python code. Now what's left for us to do is really easy. So effectively we just need to uncomment this code and put our token here. So currently this variable name is called payload. It's not very descriptive, so we'll just call it Discord token, Discord bot token to be specific, and we replace here as well, and then we put this variable in between the brackets here. Now if we run this code, it should be able to call the secret manager API and get back the value of the token that we stored in the cloud, and pass it to the Discord library and log on Discord successfully. So let's try. So it gets the token back and logged in successfully as Discord bot demo. So that is really the end of our practice today. And so just to summarize, we have stored the token as a secret, and we stored the token as a version 1 of the secret in secret manager, and we give some permissions to the service account attached to our app engine, and the permission would allow our app engine service to access the token in the secret manager, and then we incorporated the Python SDK or the Python library to access the token programmatically from our Discord bot. And one last thing we need to do is actually deploy the updated version into App Engine. And again, this is, if you watched the video last week, you know this is very simple. All we need to do is actually just to do gcloud app deploy. So as the code is updated and we don't need to make any change in the app.yaml, actually there's one thing we need to do before we deploy this new version. Because in today's demo we actually added a new dependency, that is Google Cloud Secret Manager library, we probably need to put this as a dependency in our Python requirements.txt as well. So if you remember, we can use pip3 freeze. So and this is the library we used, and this is the version. So we just copy this line alone and put in the requirements.txt. And now we deploy this code, this service, and Google Cloud should be automatically figure out which dependencies we need and update our code. So we can confirm this is correct. And it may take a minute or two to update this project. So maybe using this time, we can talk a little bit about comparing this way of managing secrets. So use Secret Manager with using manage the secrets as environment variable. We know that in App Engine, it's a little bit tricky to manage your secrets as environment variables. But if you are using some other services, for example, you have your virtual server, you may be tempted to put your token as an environment variable. So comparing to manage the secrets in a service like Secret Manager, managing the token as environment variable is more prone to human errors. As you probably know that most security incidents resulted from human errors. So although we can put our tokens as environment variables relatively safely for a personal project, but as it's too easy to access by developers, and if you have multiple people working on the same project, pretty much everyone will have access to the environment variables as well. So it's not the most secure way, and also we cannot avoid like human error. For example, if I'm recording a video, I may accidentally leak the tokens through my environment variables. But if we put in a secret manager, once we confirm the service account works, we actually can even remove my access, so the developer's access to the secret version completely. So no human users can actually access the secrets apart from only the service account we have chosen can access the secrets. So this way we can mitigate the chance of human error at the maximum level. And now if we go back our terminal, our App Engine service has already been updated. So we go back to we refresh this page. And here it already says this version 2. So since it's deployed, I can probably go back to my Discord. I need to find where my Discord is. Here we are. We are still at last week's demo. So our Discord bot is online, and at the moment it's not running locally from my machine either. So we still haven't changed the feature, so we basically still type hello, and it should return us hello. But to see the change we actually made, we need to go to the versions, and we see like this new version is being served, and I think we could probably see we can see the log in Google Cloud. But obviously, we don't really want to, in a production service, we probably don't want to print out the token here in the log either, but just to show that this is working. We can see that in App Engine it printed our log. Actually, what I'm going to do immediately is to remove this print function from my code and perhaps deploy again. Because the log is again not the most safest place in the world for storing your tokens. So it's better not even to print out the token in your log. Yes, so I will update the service. But with this, we can wrap up today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and this Secret Manager service is really useful for many other projects as well. Thank you for watching.